If I asked you to name the most powerful anti-inflammatory food on the planet, I think I could guess your answer. Turmeric, blueberries, wild salmon, a giant bowl of leafy greens, maybe a generous drizzle of olive oil. Every one of those foods is good for you, and not a single one of them is the answer. The most powerful anti-inflammatory food in the world is something most people have been told to stay away from. It's sitting in nearly every grocery store right now, quietly blamed for problems it doesn't cause. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly why it works, and why almost everyone gets this completely backwards. Here's the trap most people fall into. They hear anti-inflammatory and they go shopping for a magic ingredient. They start sprinkling turmeric on everything. They buy the expensive berries, they swallow the fish oil capsules, and they still hurt. Their joints still ache, their gut is still a mess, their energy still crashes by mid-afternoon. The reason isn't that those foods are useless, it's that they're stacking good foods on top of a broken system and hoping the good wins. It never does. To actually shut inflammation down, you don't need a magic food. You need to understand the mechanism, and once you do, the surprising answer is going to make perfect sense. So let's start with what inflammation actually is, because this is where the confusion begins. There are two kinds. The first kind is your friend. You step on something sharp, the area gets red, hot, and swollen, and that's your body rushing repair crews to the scene. That's acute inflammation, and it's supposed to flare up and then switch off. The second kind is the problem. Chronic inflammation is a fire that never goes out. It's a low, constant smolder that runs for months or years in the background. You can't always feel it directly, but you feel its effects. It shows up as stiff, aching joints. It hides behind almost any condition that ends in itis. It drives stubborn fatigue, skin flare-ups, brain fog, and the slow burn of autoimmune disease. It's your immune system stuck in the on position, attacking on low heat all day, every day. The trouble is that your body was never designed to run that defense system around the clock. Acute inflammation is meant to flare hard and then shut off completely, like an emergency crew that finishes the job and goes home. Chronic inflammation is that same crew refusing to leave, tearing up healthy tissue while it looks for an enemy that isn't really there. Over the years, that constant low-grade damage is what wears down joints, irritates blood vessels, and keeps you feeling older and more worn out than you should. And the question that matters is, what keeps flipping that switch on and refusing to let it turn off? Here's where it gets surprising. For most people, chronic inflammation doesn't start where they feel the pain. You might feel it in your knees, your hands, your skin, or your sinuses, but the fire usually starts somewhere completely different. It starts in your gut. To understand why, you have to picture how thin the barrier really is between your digestive tract and the rest of you. The lining of your intestines is just one cell thick. One single layer of cells is the only thing standing between everything moving through your gut and your bloodstream. Think of it like a wall that's only one brick deep, and those bricks are sealed together by something called tight junctions. The tight junctions are the mortar holding the wall together. Now imagine the mortar starts washing out. Tiny gaps open up between the bricks. Suddenly, things that were supposed to stay inside your gut start slipping through the wall and into your blood. Undigested food particles, bacterial fragments, waste products. Your immune system finds these things in places they were never supposed to be, decides you're under attack, and sounds the alarm. That alarm is inflammation, and it doesn't stay in your gut. It travels everywhere, including to joints that are nowhere near your stomach. This is what people mean when they say leaky gut or intestinal permeability, and it's the hidden link between a damaged gut and a body that's inflamed from head to toe. Once you understand this, a lot of frustrating problems start to make sense. It's why someone can eat what looks like a clean diet and still feel inflamed. It's why joint pain, skin issues, and digestive trouble so often show up in the same person at the same time. They're not three separate problems. They're three signals coming from one broken wall, fix the wall, and you're not chasing symptoms in 3 different directions anymore. You're addressing the thing that was driving all of them. So the real goal isn't just to calm inflammation, it's to reseal that wall. And here's the beautiful part. The cells that build your gut lining have a favorite fuel, and feeding it to them is something you can do at every meal. Most cells in your body run mostly on glucose, but the cells lining your gut are different. Their preferred fuel is an amino acid called glutamine. Glutamine is both the energy source these cells burn and the raw material they use to rebuild themselves and tighten those junctions back up. Here's the catch. When you're stressed, sick, injured, or already inflamed, your body burns through glutamine far faster than it can make it. The supply runs low at the exact moment your gut needs it most. The lining can't keep up with the damage, the gaps widen, more particles leak through, and the inflammation feeds itself in a vicious loop. So if you want to break that loop, the move is obvious. Flood your gut with glutamine from your food, which raises the only question that matters. Which food gives you the most? Before I answer that, you have to stop tearing the wall down faster than you can rebuild it. There's no point pouring in repair material while you're still attacking the lining 3 times a day. So here are the foods quietly eroding that mortar. Refined grains and gluten are near the top because they can directly loosen those tight junctions. Sugar feeds the wrong bacteria and tips your whole gut ecosystem out of balance. Alcohol acts like a solvent on a lining that's already fragile. Ultra-processed foods are packed with emulsifiers and additives that strip away the protective mucus layer sitting on top of your gut wall. Industrial seed oils deliver damaged, oxidized fats your body has to clean up. Then there's soy, corn, and the isolated fibers and plant protein powders that get marketed as health foods, but that your gut often doesn't recognize. And here's a hard one for a lot of people. When your gut is actively inflamed, even healthy-sounding plants can backfire. Beans, legumes, and certain high lectin or high oxalate vegetables can irritate a lining that's already raw. This isn't forever, and it isn't true for everyone. But while the fire is burning, the kindest thing you can do is simplify. Now for the answer you've been waiting for, the single richest food source of glutamine, the most concentrated gut-repairing protein you can put on a plate, is beef. That's right. The food you were probably told to fear, the one blamed for inflammation for decades, is gram for gram one of the most powerful tools to reverse it. That's the surprise. So where did the fear come from? It came from studies that almost never looked at beef on its own. They looked at beef wrapped in a refined bun, fried in seed oil, served with sugary soda, and a side of processed everything. Then they blamed the meat. But clean beef by itself hands your body the exact materials it needs to rebuild that gut wall. A huge dose of glutamine, a complete protein with every amino acid, plus zinc, iron, and B12 that your immune system depends on to regulate itself. It's not the villain. It's one of the most efficient repair foods that exists. Think about how strange that is for a second. We've spent years being told to swap red meat for processed cereal, low-fat snacks, and protein powders, the exact foods that quietly damage the gut, and to treat a simple whole food our ancestors thrived on as something dangerous. The story got flipped. When you separate the meat from the junk, it usually travels with what's left is a dense package of everything a struggling gut wall is begging for. But before you go fire up the grill, stick with me, because how you eat it matters just as much as that you eat it. And the practical part coming up is where most people either win or waste their effort. Now, what if you don't eat meat? You're not left out, and your champion might surprise you too. The best plant-based source of glutamine is cabbage, and red cabbage especially. For a vegetable, it carries a remarkable amount of glutamine, and red cabbage adds something extra. Those deep purple pigments, called anthocyanins, are powerful inflammation calmers in their own right. There's a reason raw cabbage juice was used to soothe stomach ulcers long before modern medicine had a pill for it. People called it the ulcer healing factor, and what they were really tapping into was cabbage's ability to support and rebuild the lining of the gut from the plant side of the menu. So if beef isn't on your plate, a steady supply of cabbage, lightly cooked or juiced, is a genuinely serious gut repair tool. And you don't have to rely on just one food. There's a whole supporting cast of glutamine-rich options to rotate in. Bone broth is one of the best because it brings glutamine together with collagen, which is like sending your gut lining to a spa. Pasture-raised eggs and fish add more of the same building blocks. Fermented foods like kefir and sauerkraut do double duty, delivering glutamine plus the beneficial bacteria that help your gut regulate inflammation on its own. And cheeses from sheep or goat tend to be gentler on the system than typical cow's milk dairy. Mix these in across your week and you're feeding the repair process from several directions at once. So how do you actually put this to work? Start by removing the triggers, because this step matters more than any single healing food you add. Pulling out the sugar, the refined grains, the seed oils, and the processed junk takes your foot off the gas of the fire. Then make a glutamine-rich protein the center of most of your plates. If you can manage it, choose grass-fed and grass-finished beef, since the quality of the animal's diet shows up in the quality of the food. Keep it simple. Beef or fish with a side of gentle, well-cooked vegetables, a cup of bone broth most days, eggs in the morning. You don't need to weigh anything or track grams. A good rule of thumb is to build each meal around a palm to 2 palm-sized portion of a glutamine-rich protein and let everything else play a supporting role. Cook in stable fats like butter, ghee, or tallow instead of seed oils. And sip bone broth between meals when your gut feels off, since it's about the gentlest thing you can give a raw lining. Then give it time. Your gut lining renews itself within days, but fully repairing real damage takes weeks to a few months. The early signs are encouraging, though. Most people notice less bloating first, then steadier energy through the day, and then gradually, joints that don't complain quite as loudly. A few mistakes will sabotage all of this, so let's name them. The biggest one is adding the healing foods while still eating the triggers. That's flooring the gas pedal and the brake at the same time, and your gut just stalls. The second is expecting an overnight miracle and quitting in a week because you don't feel reborn yet. The third is assuming all beef is the same, when grain-finished, additive-loaded products are a different thing from clean, well-raised meat. And the fourth is reaching for harsh fiber supplements to fix your gut, when those same products are often the very thing irritating it. Now, speaking of what actually works when fiber fails, there's something I want to show you real quick before we wrap up. There's a strange 8,000-year-old ingredient that's been used by over 3 billion people around the world, something that comes from underwater. And researchers are finding it may help restart sluggish digestion and help your body eliminate up to 10 pounds of toxic buildup clogging your intestines in just days. No restrictive diets, no expensive probiotics, just one pinch. I know that sounds almost too simple to be real, which is exactly why I want you to see the full breakdown for yourself. Point your phone's camera at the QR code on the screen right now to watch the full presentation. It explains the whole thing step by step, including the science behind why this works, even if you eat no fiber at all. There's also a link pinned in the comments below. Just tap it and it'll take you straight there. Go check it out. I'll be right here when you get back. Now back to the bigger picture we've been building. Be patient, be consistent, and don't outthink the simple version. So here's the whole picture in one breath. Inflammation is usually downstream of your gut. Your gut wall is only 1 cell thick, and when it leaks, your whole body catches fire. The amino acid glutamine is what reseals that wall, and the richest food source of glutamine on Earth is the one most people fear: beef. If you don't eat meat, red cabbage is your champion, with bone broth, eggs, fish, and fermented foods backing it up. That's the surprise the headlines miss. You are not stuck with the inflammation you're living with. In most cases, the way out starts with the very next thing you choose to put on your plate.